Let's look at Appendix B. Appendix B gets into advanced filters, database functions, and summary ifs functions. First, we're going to look at advanced filters. Advanced filters allow you to filter data and place it in another location on the spreadsheet. We had looked at filtering data earlier in the semester, but we filtered it right in place. This time, like I said, we're going to filter it and place the filtered information onto a separate location in the sheet. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of rows above my data. And then I'm going to copy the headings and paste them into the first row. First thing we want to do is we want to filter all of the positions that are engineers and are on the first shift. So we're going to put our data right underneath our headings, and we have to type them exactly the way they are typed in our data sheet. It's also important that as you enter the data, it's entered correctly or all the same, because if you abbreviate engineer in one field, but then you spell it out in the other, when you filter it, you will not get the correct data. So in C2, I'm going to type in engineer, and I have to spell it correctly. And then we also want everybody that's an engineer on the first shift. Once we enter the criteria, then click anywhere where you have the data. We're going to go to the data ribbon and select advanced. In our advanced text box, we want to say the list range is A6 to G85, and since we're in the data, Excel automatically picks up all of the adjacent columns and rows that have values. The next thing we want to tell it is our criteria range, and our criteria is in A1 to G2. We have to select both the headings and the values or the criteria, so Excel knows which column to look for that information. And then we want to copy it to another location and tell Excel where we want to copy it to. So we'll just place it in I9 and then click OK. And you'll notice that it filters all of the engineers that work on the first shift. Now let's see what happens when we move one of the values down one row. So I'm just going to drag Shift 1 down one row, and now we're going to create another advanced filter. Click in where you have the data, select Advanced. Again, it picks up the list range, and it picks up the same criteria range, but this time we want to change from G2, and I'll just retype it, to G3 because we moved this 1 down one row. And we'll copy it to another location, and I'll just go right underneath the previous filter and then click OK. Notice we have many more records this time. So what happens is when you have values on the same row, the information must meet all of those values. So we wanted all of the engineers that worked on the first shift. When we move it to a second row or a different row, it's an or, so they can either work as an engineer or work on the first shift. So when you look at our data, we have engineers that are on the third shift, marketing positions on the first, and so forth. Let's create one more custom filter. This time we're going to pull out all of the employees that work in the accounting department and have been with the company more than 4 years. So we'll click in the department column, type in accounting, and then years of service will be greater than 4. We'll click where we have data, Go back to the Data ribbon, select Advanced. Our list range is the same, A6 to G85. We have to change our criteria range, A1 to G2, and then select where we want to copy this to. So we'll just click in I60, click OK, and scroll down, and you'll see now that we have everybody in the accounting department that has more than 4 years of service. Now let's see how we can use database functions. We want to, on this sheet, we want to find the average salary in the engineering department by shift. And our data that we're going to take this from is from the employees worksheet. That's considered our database. So I'm going to click in C2 and then go up to the Insert function, select the category drop-down arrow and select Database, and then D Average. The first text box is asking us the database that we are using to look for the information. So that is in the Employees worksheet. So I click on Employees. It will put the worksheet name followed by a exclamation point, and then I'm going to select all of the cells in this database and then click Tab. And the field is the field name for the column that we want to average. So that is in the Employees worksheet again, and we're going to come up and select F1 or salary. We don't have to select the entire column, just selecting the column heading. Excel will know to average that entire column. And then we're going to click in the criteria text box, and our criteria is located in A1 to B2. We're averaging the salaries for all the engineering department that work on the first shift. And then click OK. Let's do that again for the engineering department on shift 2. So we click on the Insert function. Database is already selected. We're getting the D average. Click OK. And then we click on the Employees worksheet and select A1 to G80. That's where our data is. Press Tab to go into the field text box. Go back to the Employees worksheet. Click on the salary heading and then press Tab, and our criteria is A5 to B6, and then OK. Now we're going to look at the count ifs, sum ifs, and average if. We've used the count if, average if, and sum if before, but this time we're using the ifs, plural. So what we're looking for here is we want to find the total number of tours sold for the sales representative, Raphael, and Pacific Odyssey. So we're using, like I said, multiple criteria. So if I click in H14, I'm going to go up to More Functions, select Statistical, and then Count Ifs. So my first criteria range is we're going to look for the sales representative. So I select D6 to D25 and then press Tab. And my criteria is in F14. I could type out Rafael Sanchez, but this way, by putting in the cell address, I can just copy it down. Then when I press Tab, it adds a second criteria range, and that is for the tour. So I'm going to select A6 to A25, press Tab, and my criteria is in G14. Notice how each time you add a criteria, you can add another one. The text boxes just appear. So then click OK, and I have one tour that Rafael Sanchez sold for Pacific Odyssey, and then 2 for Essential India. Now let's find the revenue for each of the tours sold. Okay, so now we'll find the revenue for Rafael's tours. So we'll go to Math and Trig, select Sum Ifs, and our sum range is price. This time I'll use the named ranges. Our first criteria range is tour, and the criteria for the tour is in G14. Our next criteria range is representative, and the criteria range for representative is F14. So click OK and copy it down. Now let's find the average price. Go to More Functions, Statistical, and Average Ifs. Again, the first thing it asks is for us the average range, which is the price, the criteria range, tour, and our criteria is in G14. The next criteria range is representative, and the criteria is in F14. Click OK and copy it down. So that's it for Appendix B. And is also the last chapter in the book. So hopefully you've learned a lot from the course, and that will help you in future classes and in your work.